Namaskaram. We are in the story of Jarasandha in Mahabharatam. Jarasandha, who was the king of Magadha and who was very powerful, too powerful even for Krishna. And that was the reason Krishna explained to Yudhishthira why he wound up from Mathura with his entire clan, his family, friends, the whole race. They uprooted from Mathura, came over to the Gujarat coast and on an island built the new palace in, what is the place? Dwaraka. Yeah. And that became Krishna's abode for all years to come. And the reason Jarasandha became Krishna's enemy was because Krishna killed Kamsa, and Kamsa had married Jarasandha's daughters Hasti and Prapti. And after Kamsa was killed, they came to Jarasandha and complained about their widowhood, and that Krishna was the reason. And then Jarasandha attacked Mathura. They had to, for 17 times Krishna went, attacked them. They had to stay inside the palace without going out. It was a siege. And the Jarasandha would go back, come again, like that. So finally they decided it is too much harassment. So they came to Dwaraka. And Krishna explained to Yudhishthira the background of Jarasandha. He was the son of Brihadratha, the then king of Magadha. Brihadratha had married the twin daughters of the Kashi king, and they lived happily for long years, but they produced no children. Jarasandha had no heir, so he got fed up with life and he had made up his mind to retire to forest. It was then a sage by name Chanda Kaushika. He was said to be the grandson of Gautama, one of the famous sages. He was a Vedic seer also, Gautama. And Jarasandha received him and treated him very well, served him in a grand way. And Chandakaushika was very pleased, and he asked Jarasandha, "What boon can I give you?" And Jarasandha said, "What boon can I ask? I have no desires left in this world. I have made up my mind to retire to forest with my wives, with my queens." "Why?" asked the sage. "Because I have no children, and without a heir to the Magadhas, I have no interest in this worldly life." Then the sage thought for a while, and he gave him a ripe mango and said, "Give it to your wives, let them eat it, and your desire shall be fulfilled." And he left. And Jarasandha gave it to his wives, who shared the fruit equally between the two. They cut it into half, and each ate one half each. And in due course, true to the sage's words, they both became pregnant. And when the pregnancy matured, both of them delivered, but each delivered one half of a fully grown male child. And they were not only scared, they were, they abhorred, they loathed, they gave the two halves to the maid and asked her to throw the pieces outside the palace gate, who did it accordingly. At that time, a demon by name Jara happened to be there, and Jara took the two pieces of the child with the whole idea of eating them at home. And for carrying home, she joined the two halves exactly in the middle. And immediately life came to the baby and it started crying loud. And then people started coming. And then Jara thought for a while and then took the baby inside the palace and gave it to Brihadratha and told him, King, this child is your progeny. They were born out of your wives, and when there were two pieces, I joined them, and now they are alive. Now you look after the child, and he will become a famous king. And Jara left. And Jara explained, that's what Mahabharata says, she is a deity who is drawn on the wall of houses at that time and worshipped. And Jayadratha had done similarly. She was a deity who was being worshipped, this Jara. And she said, if people continue worshipping her, they will get all wishes. And I remember seeing such drawings on the walls of some houses in my childhood days. Similar pictures. And soon the Chandakaushika also came and told Jayadratha that this child of yours will grow to be a very powerful king. He will conquer all the neighboring kingdoms and he will become very famous. He will keep the name of the dynasty, he will keep it alive. And he left. And Jarasandha was very happy, Jayadratha was very happy because the two pieces were joined by Jara. The child was given the name Jarasandha, joined by Jara. The meaning of the word is Jarasandha, joined by Jara. And Jarasandha, the rituals starting from Jatakarma, Namakarana, Annaprasha, all those were done in the proper time by the palace priest. And when he became a youth, Brihadratha installed him on the throne and retired to the forest with his queens. He had thought about it much earlier, but because of the child, he stayed on. And Jarasandha started ruling Magadha, and he started invading neighboring kingdoms and defeated them all. He defeated so many thousands of small kingdoms around and captured the rulers and put them in his jail. It is said that he wanted to conduct a big ritual in which he wanted to offer them all on the fire. And Krishna described this story to Yudhishthira and said, Jarasandha is a proud king and very powerful. His army is so strong that even if we fight for 300 years, you can't exhaust them. So there is no question of winning him in straight battle. The only way is to get a duel from him, and then Bhima can defeat him. Bhima is powerful enough. And that was what Krishna planning to do. Krishna said he would go to Jarasandha in the guise of Brahmins, taking Arjuna and Bhimasena with him, and then he will take care of the duel. And Yudhishthira agreed to that plan, and they left. This is one very good example of Krishna's strategy. The whole Mahabharata war was one, the main reason was Krishna's strategies. Of course, Arjuna's warriorship, Bhima's power in battles, all that counted, and there were many other great warriors on the Pandava side, Kaurava side as well. But what weighed in Pandava's favor was Krishna's strategies, and this is one very good example where Krishna knew in advance that it was no use going into a battle, and Jarasandha would remain an enemy, so he wouldn't come to the Pandava side if a war against Kauravas take place. So it is best to tackle him in a duel. And the three, guised as Brahmins, proceeded to Magadha. As we said in last class, it is the present-day Bihar, present-day South Bihar. And Mahabharata describes the route, crossing the rivers, which rivers were crossed, which mountain peaks were passed. There is no point in going through them because it may not be easy to match them the present geography. And they reached the palace, and they avoided the direct route and got inside through maybe some back door where single doors for people inside to go out for some immediate purpose coming back, and somehow they got inside, and which we shall continue and hopefully finish the story next day. Namaskaram.